XRP can't be cheap. This is a quote that has been circulating around the XRP community for years now. And although I do agree, I don't think that XRP can be dirt cheap, it doesn't mean that it justifies crazy price targets for XRP. However, I do still think that XRP will become very expensive over time. It's going to follow the same exact path that Bitcoin had, except it's going to be multiplied. And the reason why I say that is because, Bitcoin's path to its current price happened because of just retail speculation and hype around Bitcoin. And then that led to, buying, selling, and trading around Bitcoin with a major network effect. With XRP, we have that same exact scenario coupled with utility. And utility still doesn't, we still don't know what the effect of utility network effects will have on these assets. But in my opinion, with what we have with Bitcoin, we can only assume that it's going to multiply the price driver effect, if you will. So let's start off with a few things and then get into that side of, XRP. So let's start off with this post from Bank XRP. We have Ripple just expanded its licensed payment activities in Singapore after approval from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. This matters for XRP because it unlocks regulated cross-border payments, digital asset transfer, stablecoin rails, and institutional settlement inside one of the most trusted jurisdictions in global finance. More clarity, more utility, more real adoption. XRP is built for this. Now, we talked about this move. In fact, I said that this was a huge move that Ripple made, and it definitely is. And the reason why it is huge is because of, it clears out a path to these massive use cases. This is building on top of the utility that was already there for XRP, and it provides even more clarity for XRP and even for Ripple. These are the moves that we want to see. These are the moves that matter for XRP in a big way. Now, on top of that, Reese Merrick also made a post on the 25th talking about the Hidden Road acquisition. Last month, Ripple completed the acquisition of Hidden Road, now Ripple Prime, who served their institutional customers, clearing $3 trillion across all markets annually. Ripple is now the first crypto-native company to own a global multi-asset prime broker, FX, digital assets, derivatives, fixed income, plus more. We have already seen significant growth since the announcement, and XRP and RLUSD will be used as collateral for institutional clients. The institutional era just leveled up. So now we think about all of these moves that Ripple has been making and how they all center around XRP and RLUSD, highlighting even more utility expansion. We simply come to the conclusion that demand, utility, and the value around XRP is going to continue to evolve and increase because of all of these moves. Because again, when something has this much utility tied back to it, and although, yes, we're not seeing the, utilization of XRP picking up in a big way just yet, I think with more clarity, it's going to increase the utilization of XRP. Once we start to see that, the network effect is going to grow significantly. We're going to see the multiplier effect on the value side also increase as well. Now, we did hear from Brad Garlinghouse recently. This goes back to November 6th. Regulatory headwinds are now tailwinds, scaling liquidity and institutional partnerships for the next phase of crypto adoption. Check this out.
Crypto exchanges are not safe. It does not matter the size of the exchange either. Bybit, the fourth largest crypto exchange by trading volume, recorded one of the largest crypto hacks in history back in February, where $1.4 billion was stolen. And if we're looking at some of the top 10 crypto hacks in history, most of these are resulting from major exchanges. So where do we store our crypto outside of cold storage devices? Well, iTrust Capital offers premium custody accounts, which is one of the safest places to store your crypto because these are fully closed loop systems which are designed to isolate and protect assets. And the best part about this is that if you are holding digital assets on their platform, they can only be withdrawn in USD linked to a US bank account, which means no external wallet connections can happen, which reduces the exposure to phishing or unauthorized transfers. So if you guys do want to tap into one of the safest places to lock up your crypto, you could sign up utilizing my link down in the description below right now, where you deposit $1,000 and you get a free $100 funding bonus today.
I think the inevitable march of pursuit of these technologies can't be stopped. You had Gary Gensler out there pontificating about how the crypto is the Wild West. Like, that is the furthest thing from the truth. Like, the people I knew were trying to give us clear rules, help us understand those rules, and don't just sue us without actually providing that guidance. And so, it took a while, but we're finally in a happier place. The idea that there's one internet doesn't really make sense. I think Ripple's always tried to champion, if crypto does well, that's gonna probably be really good for Ripple. And so we've invested almost $3 billion in other crypto initiatives. Now, some of those are XRP specific. Some of those are limited partners in funds that support lots of different things. But we think if crypto does well, it's good for us. And it's part of the reason you alluded to this, but we felt it was so important to fight the fight with the SEC and the last administration, because it was important for crypto. And if somebody didn't fight that fight, that was going to be bad for our industry.
You guys are the original dad, right? You are the original company that owns a bunch of tokens, right?
Yes. I think what we have found is it makes sense to have anchor players within an ecosystem. We are the most interested party in XRP's success. We care immensely about the vibrancy, the utility, the liquidity of the XRP ecosystem. But the nice thing is the breadth of participants in the XRP ecosystem has changed dramatically. And so we want to build products and services that customers love and are happy to pay for, and have the symbiotic relationship of driving liquidity in the XRP ecosystem. If the largest economy in the world goes from headwinds to tailwinds, I think we are underpriced that shift. And I think that'll play out over the 6, 12, 18 months.
And again, underpricing that situation, because again, this is the largest economy in the world, and the US has now gone from a very hostile environment to one of the largest players to accept and adopt and put a spotlight on crypto in a big way. And yeah, I think that we are severely underpricing that. It's not going to happen immediately, just like he said, the next 6, 12, 18 months, because again, over time, we're going to see everything around crypto improve, from, the adoption from institutional players to the capital flows. Everything in this market is going to become even more bullish. And I think that that's one thing to really focus on here. And I think that that's incredible to see Brad Garlinghouse putting a spotlight on as well, because it's very clear things have improved greatly over the last 12 months. We're just waiting for price action to really, prove that to us. Now, on top of that, the big focus here is institutional players, right? Institutional partnerships, institutional use, value. And it takes us back to, of course, David Schwartz, right? Back in 2017, it can't be dirt cheap. That doesn't make any sense. If XRP costs $1, they'd need a million XRP, which would cost $1 million. If XRP cost $1 million, they'd need one XRP, which would again cost $1 million. And then, of course, the second part to this, except that higher prices make payments cheaper. Right now, you can buy $1 million house with Bitcoins. When Bitcoins were, $300, it would move the market too much and be too expensive to be practical. So higher prices make payments cheaper. Now, again, with this, it doesn't mean that XRP is going to $1 million or $100,000 or even $1,000, but it means that XRP, as we start to see more and more high value use cases being targeted, which is the main focus here, right? We go back to this acquisition, right? FX, derivatives, things like that. These high value markets, these high value, industries, once we start to target that and we see trillions and trillions of dollars moving over these networks, again, the value has to be higher for these assets, because to move that amount of money, it would affect the market too much, just like David Schwartz is saying here. So what value can we put on XRP? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I've been seeing price predictions for years, $10, $100, $1,000. Nobody knows. But one thing that we do know is how well positioned XRP is. Big shout out to vet_x0. We have 2 video clips here from a recent AMA with David Schwartz. And we have here, our technology was uniquely positioned for an asset exchange. The leadership consensus algorithm of the XRP ledger, no dictator of the moment, made Arthur Britto come up with the very first DEX in crypto. Check this out.
And Arthur mostly realized that you could have an asset exchange, that you didn't want to have an asset exchange if you had a block producer, because the block producer could reorder transactions to their advantage. They could not, if there was some offer that was at a price that turned out to be too high or too low because the asset price moved, the person who produced the block could take that profit for themselves. They might not let you cancel an offer. They might let you place only the best offers for them and then take them, insert their own transaction to take them. So we realized in 2012 that because you could not do that, our technology was uniquely suitable for an asset exchange. And so we took some inspiration from some work that Ryan Fugger did back in 2004. We created issued assets, which were basically the first stable coins. We created the first DEX with what we now call the DEX. And we built a sort of multi-asset ledger. And Arthur.
And within that video clip, you heard a lot of, hey, we created the first this, that, et cetera, et cetera. This is what sets Ripple and even XRP apart from the rest in the space. This was uniquely positioned since day one. Now, on top of that, we also heard from David Schwartz on smart contracts. David, on smart contracts on the XRP ledger, we don't need full general purpose smart contracts. We don't need to be the better, or the best smart contract platform, just a little bit of programmability via smart contracts. It boosts native features. If you can't connect native features together, they are not as useful. Safety, small steps, no full-blown programmability, but measured step towards this goal gives us the best real-world feedback, because how limited smart contracts XLS 101 is in design, it will allow for a large group of amendments to not protocol changes. That's a huge gain in protocol security for all actors using the XRP ledger, including banks and normal users alike. Check it out.
I do think Ripple probably should have prioritized smart contracts at layer one sooner. We didn't. We were more skeptical, and I think the big thing that we missed was that small steps would be useful. That we didn't have to be the best platform for smart contracts, and people would still be able to use those smart contracts both to distinguish their features, implement their business logic, and to tie existing features together. An AMM is great, but if it's not connected to anything else, it's not as great. It's nice to be able to sort of connect things together with business logic, distinguish functions, because today developers, if they want to build in the XRP ledger space, they either have to build XRP ledger features, which has a massive barrier to entry, and then, get them accepted by amendment, which is, extremely difficult. And it has to be something with mass appeal, or basically all they can build are wallets and user interfaces. Now, wallets and user interfaces are important, but it's hard to build a business around a wallet or a user interface. And if you can distinguish your actual financial products on chain, that makes it, a much better experience and a much better platform for them to develop on.
So yeah, when we think about all of these things, right, all of the amendments, all of the major upgrades to the XRP ledger, it's all building out, that path to the end goal here, which is, of course, institutional grade adoption, institutional grade use, even with institutional DeFi, right? All of this stuff is becoming a reality around the XRP ledger. This is going to significantly impact the network effect around XRP as well. And this is where I think a lot of people are undervaluing and really overlooking the big picture around XRP, because still today we have so many people that talk about market cap this, market cap that. We're so early in this space. Everyone is going to get this wrong. I'm going to get this wrong. You're going to get this wrong. The experts around this space are going to get it wrong, because I feel like everyone is still undervaluing what we have in front of us. When we are talking about the new financial system, we're talking about tokenizing hundreds of trillions of dollars. I mean, it's something so completely unique, something so completely different. The opportunity here is so massive, yet, like I said, so many people are overlooking what we have in front of us. And then last but not least, I do want to talk about this video clip from Marcus Impfinger, because this is very important to also look at. This is from Diepson. We have the XRP ledger is entering a new era. Ripple's ROUSD will serve as prime collateral on Hidden Road, evolving XRP ledger from a payments network into an institutional DeFi settlement layer. from payments to credit to collateral mobility and repo markets.
And if I think about it through the lens of, the XRP ledger, and tangentially including RLUSD, Ripple's US dollar stablecoin. So first of all, RLUSD will act as sort of like the prime collateral on the Hidden Roads platform, and the XRPL will really evolve into a settlement layer for part of their existing business around collateral mobility and things like repo markets. And if you, if you think about it this way, XRPL has mainly been, or dominantly been known as like the chain for payments in a short narrative, and this really will help expand the XRPL to be a broad-based institutional DeFi chain that will not only facilitate or have key differentiation around payments, but also around credit, collateral mobility, and other areas around institutional DeFi.
Well, I love that. That's very, very exciting to hear.
And I don't know about you guys, but when I hear these employees from Ripple talking about what XRP and the XRPL are evolving into, all I can think about is the network effects, because again, the network effects will lead to increased volume, increased value. I think the thing that we have, and the only proof of what a network effect could look like for XRP in front of us, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of them have experienced a massive network effect over time, but we have yet to see a utility network effect. This is where, like I've mentioned before, the price multiplier. We will see a multiplier of the value of XRP, not just from, people buying and selling and trading XRP, but because of the utility side of XRP. And the utilization of the XRP ledger increases through institutional DeFi initiatives, through it becoming a settlement layer for institutional players. That immediately affects, every single price target, every single price prediction that anyone had. You have to scrap it, because I really do think that it's going to completely shock everyone on just what could happen when you bring in that institutional capital and that use, because it's going to be so significant and it's going to lead to mass adoption of the tech as well. Institutional players and enterprise players, they're the driver of mass adoption. But one thing's clear here, right? Like when we hear all of, these employees from Ripple and CEOs from Ripple and, previous CTOs of Ripple, everything that they're telling us, everything that they're saying here is the fact that, with increased adoption, with increased use, we're going to see a higher value XRP. But on top of that, we're seeing so much development, like so many developments around the XRP ledger, from, targeting new asset, classes to, increased adoption to institutional DeFi becoming a reality. I mean, all of these things are happening all at once. I mean, we think about a network effect, right? But what about, a complete waterfall of utility becoming a reality as well? I mean, this is going to severely impact XRP in a very positive way. And, just like Brad Garlinghouse is saying, it could take 6, 12, 18 months, but it doesn't matter, right? We waited out the lawsuit for well over, 4 years. We could wait out utility, becoming a reality, and institutional adoption hitting, peak levels. We could wait that out, because that will be worth it in the long run. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on, because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.